Save Uchiha, start from flipping the table. Chapter 1. To save Uchiha, start from flipping the table. Author, Menyin Chanshan. Introduction. Migrant Hiko crossed Hokage and became a member of Uchiha, but the timeline turned out to be 3 years before the night of genocide. It coincided with the peak of the village's suspicion and defense against Uchiha. Factions in the family fight for power, high-level surveillance, and villagers' misunderstandings. Everything is just like the original work. If Yen doesn't act, the final outcome is that the whole family will be sent to the coffin by the filial son Itachi. Death starts. It is better to ask yourself than to ask others. Yen can only start to save himself. Factional battles. Then cut out the faction. High-level targets. Then change a group of high-level people. If the internal rescue is not enough, then tear the opening from the outside. Uchiha's self-help guide begins. Recast the glory of Uchiha. Remember, my name, Uchiha Hiko. Chapter 1. The Uchiha clan has internal and external troubles, and the third Hokage is highly sensitive. In the early morning, Yen, as always, sat in a small shop not far from the ninja school and had breakfast, watching the people passing by on the road out of the corner of his eyes. It wasn't until a child in Uchiha costume walked into the ninja school with a school bag on his back that he looked away. Successfully copy, get a little Indra chakra, whether to perform fusion. Fusion. Thinking silently in his heart, Yen put down the bamboo chopsticks in his hand, put the money on the table, got up and left. After Zaihiko left, in the shadows not far from the breakfast shop, Anbi's ninja quickly evacuated and came to the Hokage office to report. Master Hokage, Uchiha Hiko went to the snack bar across the street from the ninja school to have breakfast as usual, and left after Sasuke Uchiha entered the school. There is nothing unusual about it. Thank you for your hard work. Third Hokage, who was smoking with a pipe in his mouth, let out a heavy breath. Third Hokage doesn't understand Yen Lei's behavior of insisting on going to the breakfast shop to eat every day because he can't be moved. What is his purpose? Is it aimed at the child Sasuke or Naruto? As long as the ninja school starts normally, Hiko will show up on time. This also caused the already sensitive nerves of the third Hokage to be directly tense. Umbu's ninjas were sent to follow up and observe. Unexpectedly, this observation lasted for half a year. Go down and have a rest, and help me inform Jishue to come over. After a moment of silence, Sandai Hokage put down his pipe and said. Yes, Hokage-sama. The Umbu ninja, who was half kneeling on the ground, bowed his head and saluted, then quickly evacuated. Yen didn't know his behavior, which caused Sandai Hokage to be nervous. At this time, he was stretching and walking towards the police department calmly. Another day of crit rewards. After receiving the crit reward, Yen was in a good mood and even blew his whistle. It has been half a year since he traveled to the world of Naruto, and until now Yen has not figured out how he did it. He was obviously working overtime at the company, and was printing out the documents that the boss needed for the next day, but his eyes went dark. When he regained consciousness, he realized that he had time traveled. Not to mention traveling to the world of Naruto, but also becoming a member of the Uchiha family. What's even more frightening is that several years have passed since the Night of the Nine Tails, and there are still 3 years left before the time for the Uchiha to exterminate the clan. I don't know if it has something to do with the printing of documents before the time travel, but Yan's cheat is outrageous. There are only 2 functions, that is, copy and merge once a day. Use copying on others, and you can immediately get some rewards, such as sharing eye pupil power, such as body skills, swordsmanship practice experience, and Indra chakra or Azura chakra for critical strike rewards. This is also the reason why as long as the ninja school goes to school normally, Yen will stay on guard without any damage. He needs to take Air Juzi and Shao Naruto as daily copy targets. Team Leader. The lounge on the second floor of the police department. When Yen opened the door and walked in, several people sitting in the lounge drinking tea quickly got up and said hello. You are free, you should rest and relax, just don't be caught by our patriarch. Yen showed an approachable smile, and waved his hands casually. By the way, hasn't the HR department supplemented the missing newcomers yet? The personnel department said that the newcomers have already started the review, and after the review is over, they can join the team. That's all right, go about your business, don't forget to patrol regularly. After finishing speaking, Yen walked into his office. As one of the captains of the police department, he can have an independent office. When Yen walked into the office, the members of the team quickly returned to a relaxed and active atmosphere. It was time to drink tea and chat. At this time, Shishui, who is also one of the captains of the police department, came to the Hokage office building with a nervous heart. Ever since he became a double agent for the family and the village, Jishue's heart has not been peaceful for a day. Today I am worried that the village will be cruel to Uchiha, and tomorrow I am worried that the family's hardliners will make a coup d'état. Shisui felt the most torment every time he came to see Sandai Hokage or other high-level officials. As a double agent, he will always be caught between the village and the family, in a dilemma. I hope nothing major happens, this is what Jishui thinks. Arriving at the Hokage office building, Shisui took a deep breath, raised his hand and knocked on the door. Come in. After getting permission, Shisui opened the door and walked into Hokage's office, and greeted the third Hokage who was sitting on a chair and said respectfully, Master Hokage. Hearing Shisui's voice, Sandai Hokage put down the document in his hand. The original calm face gradually became serious, and Jishui, who lowered his head slightly to show respect, saw this face, and his heart sank to the bottom of the valley. Every time the third Hokage faced him with this face, it meant that there was a new problem in the family. Stop the water. After a pause, the third Hokage continued. There is something that I need to ask you about the specific situation. Jishui lowered his head and said hastily, Master Hokage, please tell me. Satisfied with Shisui's attitude, Sandai Hokage nodded slightly and said. According to Umbu's investigation, Uchiha, the captain of the police department, always approaches the ninja school intentionally or unintentionally, trying to get close to Naruto. What is the best way to investigate a person and get to know a person? You must first find a good excuse and investigate the other party's reasons. This said, the 3 generations of Hokage have already played superbly. What? Yen. As expected by the third Hokage, Shisui was stunned for a moment, and then the emotions he showed were a little stunned, and mixed with unbelievable emotions. Yen likes to eat near the ninja school, which is his habit for more than half a year, and everyone in Uchiha has become accustomed to it. At the beginning, Jishui was also worried that Yen was going to make trouble, so after following him for a while, he finally found out that there was nothing wrong with him. Hiko really just went to eat, but Shisui couldn't figure out why he had to go when the ninja school started normally. As for approaching Naruto, this is simply nonsense. Hiko has never been closer than 100 meters to Naruto. Even if you encounter it on the patrol road, you will take the initiative to get out of the way. Is this Uchiha's internal arrangement? Or Uchiha Hiko's personal behavior? Master Hokage. Jishui was in a hurry, and quickly explained. There has never been such an arrangement within the family, and it has never been allowed to get close to Naruto. It is Yan's personal behavior and habit to have breakfast near the ninja school. This habit has been going on for half a year, and I have investigated it during the period, but Yan did not do anything other than eat. Shisui has no way to discredit Yan on this kind of matter. Yes is yes, no is no. Is that so? Third Hokage frowned slightly, he could tell that Shisui was telling the truth. In fact, Yen really didn't have the idea of getting close to Naruto, because there was no need, his golden finger could be used from afar. Why go to Naruto and provoke the nerves of the high level when it can be used all the way? The third Hokage came to Shisui, in addition to wanting to cheat and see if he could get some valuable information, he just wanted to beat him through Shisui, not to do something that he shouldn't and can't do. Oh. The third Hokage suddenly sighed, causing Shisui's heart to jump in his throat. Chapter 2 Want to teach me how to do things? Wait until Jishui becomes the patriarch. Since the night of the Kyubi, the relationship between Uchiha and the village has become more and more tense. Jishui, I hope you can understand my painstaking efforts. I did this for the sake of the village. Master Hokage, I will investigate further and remind Yen, but I believe he will not do anything out of line. When it was time to express and choose a position, Jishui chose to stand on the side of the high level as always. After leaving the Hokage office building, Shisui was in a dull mood. 3 generations of Hokage asked him a lot of information about Uchiha's interior, and hoped that he could go further to collect this information. This is also where the water stop is difficult. The fundamental reason why he became a double agent was that he wanted to resolve the deadlocked relationship between the village and the family, rather than actually selling the family. Jishui returned to the police department with a heavy heart. In the face of the tense relationship between the village and the family, the role he can play in it is minimal. The higher-ups are guarding against him, and most of the elders of the family are not on his side. Even Uchiha Fugaku, who is the patriarch, is swaying left and right. Forget it, let's talk to Yen first. Unfortunately, Jishui's arrival was not welcomed. Opening the door, Uchiha Orion's face suddenly collapsed, his huge body blocked the road, and asked in extremely disgusting spoken language. "What are you doing here?" Faced with such a bad attitude from the tribe, Jishui sighed in his heart. Since he started to speak for the village and made various suggestions beneficial to the village, more and more people in the family were dissatisfied with him, and some even publicly ridiculed him as a traitor to the family. Suppressing the distress in his heart, Jishui said seriously, "I have something to do with Yen. You plan to stop me here forever?" Save Uchiha, start from flipping the table chapter 2. You are not welcome here. Jiyen still had a dark face, showing no intention of moving away. Seeing a stalemate between the two, no one would let the other go. Hiko, who was resting in the office, opened the door and walked out. "Are you two going to fight?" Leaning against the door frame, Yen looked at the two people who were not willing to back down with a funny face. As the team leader of the police department, Jishui couldn't give in easily. As for Jiyen, due to some personal reasons, his attitude towards Jishui has always been very bad. Whenever the two meet, they always disagree with each other. Count yourself lucky. Staring at Jishui, Jiyen reluctantly stepped out of the way. Yen stepped forward and asked, "What do you need from me?" "Looking for a place to chat." Jishui tilted his head. "Good." After thinking about it for a few seconds, Yen didn't refuse. He also wanted to know why Shisui was looking for him. Could it be because of Umbu's relationship with the third Hokage? No way, he didn't even get close to Naruto, so why is he so nervous? The two left the police department together, and stopped silently all the way, then suddenly said, "Jiyen has changed a lot. It's okay, after my enlightenment, this guy's brain is finally a little easier." Yen took up the topic in a nonchalant manner, and the two walked towards the edge of the family, in a remote forest, and stopped in a hidden training ground. In the training ground, there are still many broken targets. It seems that this is Jishui's secret training base. Jishui bent down to sort out the damaged tree stumps and pitted targets in the training ground, while Yen stood quietly watching from the side. After tidying things up, Jishui showed a sincere smile on his face, wiped the sweat off his head, put his hands on his hips, and his eyes were full of memories. "This is where Itachi and I often come." Yen slightly nodded. "I heard that the young patriarch has passed the single Chunin assessment and set a new record." The corner of Shishui's mouth couldn't help twitching. He knew Itachi didn't like others calling him that. "Yes, I have graduated, and I have already left the ninja team. I have to wait for the patriarch to make arrangements for where to go next." Without talking too much about Itachi, Shisui said straight to the point. "Yen, what you are doing is very dangerous. The village will not allow us Uchiha people to approach Naruto. And people from Umbu are following you." "Really?" A smile flashed in his eyes. Yen pretended to be contemplative, raised his hands, gently pinched his chin with his right index finger and thumb, and asked strangely. "Because of the night of the Kyubi, the village is very afraid of Uchiha and has been monitoring us. This is something everyone knows. The question is, when did I, Uchiha Hiko, get close to Naruto? Is it because I have breakfast across from the ninja school? I give up." Jishui really wanted to roll his eyes. The reason was very good and strong, and he didn't know what to say. Konoha really has no restrictions on who can't go to the ninja school, let alone breakfast. Even if Hiko has nothing to do every day and goes to the ninja school for a couple of laps, no one will say anything. At most, he was stared at by Umbu. As a member of the Uchiha clan, is it strange to be stared at by Umbu? Then you don't have to go every day when the students are in school. Yen, are you here to eat, or do you have other purposes? Jishui continued to ask. The current relationship between the family and the village, I believe you are also aware that any inadvertent actions and mistakes will lead to intensification of this conflict and distrust, so I hope you can. Are you teaching me how to do things? Yan's voice became colder, and his gaze at Shishui also became displeased. I, Uchiha Hiko, don't need others to tell me what to do. Yen, I didn't mean that, I just. Jishui quickly explained. Hiko interrupted him. Also, remember your identity. You are not qualified to ask me to do anything, and you can't do anything. If you want to order me, you can. Let's talk about it after you become the patriarch. The conversation broke up unhappily. Yen left, and Jishui sat on the pitted tree stump in frustration, scratched his hair in distress, and tilted his head with a wry smile. Itachi, am I a failure? In the woods not far from the training ground, Itachi had already arrived long ago, but the Itachi who didn't show up slowly came out of the shadows. Shisui, maybe Hokage-sama is a little sensitive. Itachi understands Shisui's distress. After all, he and Jishui are on the same front. Itachi had heard a lot about Yen's strange behavior, but Yen had never been close to Naruto, but the higher-ups approached Shisui because of this incident. Jishui, caught in the middle, is in a dilemma, hoping to settle the matter through a conversation. Too bad he screwed up. Chapter 3 Turn the table at the family meeting and question Uchiha Fugaku. I hope so. Shaking his head with a wry smile, Shisui quickly cleared up his mood, showed his usual hearty smile, patted Itachi on the shoulder, and joked. Young patriarch is good, you have already set a record, are you going to enter the police department next? Itachi, who has regarded Shisui as his brother and friend since he was a child, couldn't help but roll his eyes at him when he heard this. We have to wait for the arrangement of my lord father. As a member of the Uchiha, a genius of the family, and the son of the patriarch, Itachi has no right or room to choose, and can only silently accept the family's arrangements. Are you still training today? After breaking up with Jishui, Yen thought about a lot of things on the way back to the police department, leaving him less and less time. Now that Itachi has passed the Chunin assessment, the time for him to join Umbu is getting closer. Traveling to the world of Naruto in a daze, and becoming a member of the Uchiha clan, I am afraid that no one will be too happy. The most uncomfortable thing is that the timeline is so up. It would be fine if we traveled earlier. But it happens that after the Night of the Nine Tails, there are only 3 years left before the night of the genocide. If he did nothing and let everything continue as in the original book, the night of genocide would still be unavoidable. Even if Obito, the black-hearted boy, changes his mind, or is too lazy to attack Uchiha, Danzo, the poisonous snake hidden in the dark, will not let Uchiha go. You still have to stand up and lift the table. After half a year of thinking, Yen found that there is no way for Uchiha to get out of the current predicament. It just needs someone to stand up and do a few big things. For example, start by turning the table of the clan association. Since there is no way to change the high-level targeting of Uchiha, then solve the problem from within Uchiha. Yen didn't believe that a united Uchiha was tied together, and Danzo dared to raise the butcher's knife against Uchiha. Uchiha is really united, don't mention Danzo raised his knife, I'm afraid Uchiha stomped his feet, and Sandai Hokage's heart would tremble a few times. Captain, didn't that say anything? When Yen returned to the police department, Jien asked immediately. It's okay, just a normal chat. Smiling and patting Jien's shoulder, Yen signaled him not to worry. Everyone, today's patrol has started. A family meeting will be held tonight, and the patrol mission will end as soon as possible. By the way, the personnel department will continue to urge you. The selection of individuals is so procrastinating. What are they doing? The patrol mission was successfully completed, and in the area under the responsibility of the third team, no one without eyes came out to apply eye drops to Yen. The patrol is over, and today's work is considered to be over. As night fell, Yen, after washing, put on clean clothes and went to the family ancestral hall. After the Senju clan became civilians, apart from the shameless Sarutobi clan who used the slogan of a commoner family, the Uchiha could be regarded as the largest family in Konoha. Even so, there are still very few people who can enter the family ancestral hall to participate in the clan meeting. Compared with the living area, the vicinity of Uchiha's ancestral hall is very deserted. As usual, the seats representing the patriarch and several zhonglai were still empty, and most of the people in other positions had already arrived. Jishui was also among them, and it was obvious that the young and strong members of the family were not willing to sit with Jishui. "Captain, this way." Yen came, and Ji Yen, who arrived one step earlier, waved quickly, and many people gathered around him. Jishui nodded slightly, but unfortunately, Yen ignored him. He walked straight towards Ji Yen, and told Shisui clearly, "I was very angry about the day's affairs, and it was not so easy to let go. You, Uchiha Shisui, know something in your own mind. Besides, what is your situation in the family, and I don't have any clues in my heart. Captain, that is about to become a loner." Yen, who was not thinking about Jishui, responded lightly, but didn't have much reaction. He was thinking about how to show his cards later. If there is no accident, when the elders and patriarchs come, Uchiha's once-a-month clan quarrel will be staged again. Although Uchiha is just a ninja family, there are many broken things and factions in the family. The Dove faction represented by Shisui, the Hardline faction headed by the Great Elder, and the Neutral faction represented by the Patriarch Fuyu. The three factions can always quarrel at the clan meeting. The Hardliners accuse the Doves of betraying the family, the Doves accuse the Hardliners of wanting to stage a coup, which would lead the family into the abyss, and the Neutrals said that the Patriarch did not express his position, and they just watched the show. Seemingly seeing that Yen didn't have any intention of watching the show, Ji Yen quickly calmed down and communicated with other people in a low voice. Soon, the elders arrived, and after the elders sat in their seats, the Patriarch Fu Yu led the people to arrive at last. Sitting in the position belonging to the Patriarch, Fu Yu swept around the small meeting room of the ancestral hall, and said, "All the people who are supposed to come have come, so let's start today's clan meeting. Everyone has anything to say." Patriarch. As soon as Fu Yu finished speaking, the sixth elder was the first to jump out and complained again and again. "This month, our Uchiha police department has received more and more complaints in the Hokage office building due to violent law enforcement. If we don't control it, the relationship between Uchiha and the villagers will only get worse in the long run. Still an old problem. The problem of violent law enforcement has always troubled Uchiha. Save Uchiha, start from flipping the table chapter 3. Even though Uchiha restrained himself, various complaints continued. I will send someone to understand this matter. We must trust Master Hokage. At the same time, the team leaders must lead the team well to reduce the occurrence of villagers' complaints. It's an old problem, and there is still no way to solve it. Fuyue can only continue to play football." Hearing this, the sixth elder nodded in satisfaction, but the people working in the police department couldn't be happier. Shisui is the only exception, because he has been suggesting that the clansmen be more humane and gentle when enforcing the law, hoping to change the villagers' bad impression of Uchiha. Quite a few people had sullen faces and were unhappy in their hearts, but they couldn't open their mouths to refute, so they could only admit it by pinching their noses. Of course, how to deal with it afterwards has to be dealt with. You can't let the Uchiha people be good babies just because of some complaints, right? If it can be done, complaints will not be delayed until today. So, after successfully kicking the ball, Fuyue is preparing to enter the next link. Why? Forehead. The sudden questioning was beyond everyone's expectations. Even Ji Yen, who was sitting next to Yen with a displeased face, widened his eyes and stared at him dumbfounded. It seems unbelievable that the captain of his own family jumped out to complain about the problem at this time, questioning the elders and patriarchs. Fu Yu, who was about to announce the next link, froze for a moment. The elders also looked over in astonishment. For a moment, all eyes were on Yen. Hiko, are you questioning my decision? After hesitating for a while, Fu Yu asked. Facing everyone's eyes, Yen replied calmly. Yes, I just want to ask, why? Yen, who is usually silent, raised doubts forcefully, which surprised many people. Chapter 4. May I ask the elders, what did Uchiha do wrong to be punished? Hiko's voice began to increase. Everyone, the police department is the department of Commander Uchiha, and our clansmen who work in the police department are all law enforcement officers. As law enforcement officers, what we need to consider is how to deal with those messy emergencies, not to think about how to reduce complaints. It's nonsense. Then tell me, how to solve the complaint problem. The sixth elder blew his beard and stared angrily. Why do you want to solve it? Yen laughed disdainfully. Isn't this something that should be coordinated by the Hokage office building? Why push it to our police department? We constantly restrain ourselves, do those who make mistakes and even sin. The sixth elder still feels that as law enforcement officers, the first time we arrive at the scene is not to deal with the case, but to consider how to be gentle with others, otherwise we will complain. Do you want everyone to give the prisoner a smile when they arrive at the scene? Pfft. As soon as this remark came out, many people burst out laughing. The sixth elder who has been advocating this matter was so angry that his face was flushed, and he couldn't say a word while pointing at Yen. Obviously he was off. Yen was not affected, and still said. As the captain of the police department, I think my subordinates and I have done what we should do. As for complaints, that is not something we should worry about. All kinds of bad things, and things that offend people are all handled by the police department, but it is the police department that receives the most complaints. I just want to say why. Hiko slapped the floor hard, and shouted loudly. It's obviously a matter for the Hokage office building to coordinate, why should it be pushed on us? Well said, I agree with what the captain said. Anyway, I've had enough. Today I want to restrict, and tomorrow I want to restrain myself. Our police department simply does nothing and waits to be complained every day. Histitis was the first to respond. There were quite a few people who resonated for a while. Everyone worked in the police department, and they had already suffered enough anger, and everyone was suffocating. Yu Yen took the lead, and directly aroused the resentment and dissatisfaction in everyone's hearts. Many people applauded repeatedly and applauded for Yen. The sixth elder's old face was completely dark, and he was completely silent. As the patriarch, Fu Yu's face was not good at this time. Because Yen was beating around the bush and accusing him of being a patriarch, the clan members were angry every day. Enough. Seeing more and more people agreeing with Yen, the third elder who really couldn't stand it reprimanded loudly. What's the point of being so noisy? You guys feel uncomfortable, so why don't we have a better time? Uchiha Hiko, you took the lead in saying this, didn't you consider that the family would be punished by the Hokage office building? Sure enough, doves are soft bones. Yen did not hide the disgust in his eyes at all, and asked contemptuously. Excuse me, elder, what did Uchiha do wrong and need to be punished? Yes, what did we do wrong to be punished? Why? Why? At this time, even the dovish people are a little angry. They are always misunderstood for their good work, and they will be complained and punished for their hard work. This is a hammer. Yes. The hardline elder seemed to see his confidant, looked at Yen with fiery eyes, and said loudly. Uchiha is right to do anything, why should he be punished? The complaint should be handled by the Hokage office building, not us. What do you think, patriarch? The corner of Fu Yu's mouth couldn't help twitching twice. Good guy, even the hardline elder jumped out and supported him with both hands and feet. What else can he say as the patriarch? Be opposed to? Can the current situation be opposed? Fu Yu, who was MMP in his heart, could only slightly nod his head and said. I will go to the Hokage office building tomorrow to report this matter to Lord Hokage. Do you have any other questions to ask? After Yen made such a fuss, the things that should have been brought out to discuss at the clan meeting were covered up. The once-a-month clan meeting ended in a hurry. Very good, the family lacks people like you who can do things for the family and dare to speak and do. If you have time, you can come and chat with the old man. Before leaving, the great elder did not forget to win Yen over enthusiastically. No matter how much sincerity there is, at least the superficial effort is sufficient. Ha ha ha, the captain did a great job, everyone admires you. Yen was happy like a child. Most of the people working in Uchiha are from the younger generation. These people have one thing in common, that is, they can't stand it. A seemingly nonsense clan quarrel caused many people to change their eyes. Smile, go back and rest early. Yen sent Ji-yen away and waited at the entrance of the ancestral hall. Soon Fuyue came out with the guards, tilted his head, and motioned for Yen to follow. Under Fu Yu's signal, the two guards left directly. Only Yen and Fuyue were left on the road. What happened at the clan meeting made me very embarrassed. But this is the responsibility that a patriarch should have. You are right. This is my responsibility. I will go to the Hokage office building to report in person. The people of the clan have indeed suffered a lot over the years. Fuyu didn't shirk his own responsibility. Even if he went to Hokage's office building, he wouldn't get any good looks. But he is the patriarch of the Uchiha clan and needs to shoulder the heavy responsibility of the family. Having said that, Fuyue stopped and stared at Yen. Have you ever thought that if you do this, you will be feared by the higher-ups? Is it important? Yen directly smiled. The high-level attitude towards Uchiha has always been targeted, and they are getting more and more aggressive. If Uchiha makes a step, the high level will go further. Do you really think that the hardliners are stuffed within their heads, and they have nothing to do and want to stage a coup? All of them were forced out step by step by a group of 3 generations of Hokage. I hope you won't regret it. After saying this, Fuyu went straight away. He didn't blame Yen for beating himself up, nor did he get angry at Yen because of this incident. Once the news of today gets out, Yen will definitely become an important target of high-level surveillance. Because his behavior has changed from a Uchiha who does not fight or grab, to a key target who is at the forefront of making troubles. Looking at Fuyue's receding figure, Yen slightly shook his head. Not all of them were forced to come out. If they could develop with peace of mind, who would be willing to jump out? If I don't jump out again, it will be too late. Come out, we've followed all the way. Back home, Hiko turned to face the dark alley. In the alley, Jishue came out from the shadows. His eyes were complicated. Yen, your actions tonight are very dangerous. Have you joined the hardliners? In order to win Yen over, the great elder said all kinds of good things, but Jishue could see it all. Although he was surprised that he would raise such a question at the clan meeting, he was more afraid that he would join the hardliners and embark on the road of a coup than to question. Chapter 5 The prestige in the Yen clan has risen sharply, and the third Hokage still wants to play football. I am who I am, and I have nothing to do with any faction. Everything I do is purely for Uchiha, and for the people who work in the police department. Umbu has been monitoring him for half a year, so what if he stepped up a little bit? In the short term, as long as Hiko doesn't jump on the top of the high level and step on a few feet, even if Danzo wants to deal with him, Sandai Hokage will not allow it. Because he was worried that this move would cause Uchiha's backlash. Besides, it is not so easy to assassinate a Jonin in Uchiha's territory. Yen's life and work are very regular, either in the family, or with his subordinates on patrol. Even if Danzo is daring, he can't find a good opportunity to make a move. Danzo is so good that he can kill whoever he wants to kill, so he doesn't need to do small tricks in the dark, just drive the third Hokage down, and he will be Hokage and he will be done. Save Uchiha, start from flipping the table chapter 4. If it's because of the tribe, for the family, that I'm in danger, then I will admit it. After speaking, Yen opened the door and then closed it, leaving Shishue alone outside. Oh. After standing in the dark for a long time, Jishue sighed and left quietly. He did not return home to rest, but went straight to Hokage's office building. He had to report to the third Hokage what happened at the clan meeting today. This is what double agents need to do. As for how much Jishue is willing to report some important information about the village to Fuyue, I am afraid only he knows. In Yan's view, rather than saying that Jishue is a double agent, it is more appropriate to say that he is a spy of the village's high-level officials. His heart is not on Uchiha's side at all, and has already fallen to the village side like his predecessor Uchiha Kagami. After learning about this, the third Hokage cancelled their plan to go home and rest, and stayed in Hokage's office, frowning and thinking about how to deal with Fuyue tomorrow. The next day, what happened at the clan meeting gradually spread, and many Uchiha people applauded for a while. It is enough to see how much Uchiha has suffered in these years. The ridiculous thing is that the patriarchs and elders knew it clearly, but no one wanted to change in the past, and they didn't even try to fight for it. The patriarch counseled again and again, and the elders were busy wooing people and strengthening the faction. Hiko. Good morning, hahaha, you did a great job last night. Boldly say, Uncle, I support you. The ninja school is closed today, so Yen doesn't need to go to the ninja school. During the time when it is not easy to guard Sasuke and Naruto, Hiko will immediately use the once-a-day copy opportunity on other people, such as Shisui, and the patriarch Fuyue. While copying them, it's hard to get crit bonuses. But get something better than others too. As the news spread, many more people took the initiative to greet Yen. It is foreseeable that after the news is completely spread, Yen's family's prestige will be greatly improved. Coincidentally, this is what Yen needs. The greater his reputation, the less Danzo and Sandai Hokage dared to touch him. If you want to change Uchiha, you must first have enough achievements and a convincing reputation. An unknown person who jumped out and shouted to change the family scene and lead Uchiha forward would definitely be regarded as a lunatic who was overconfident and full of nonsense. Looks like there's no need to bother. Hiko, who was about to go to the police department, unexpectedly ran into Sasuke, who was following behind his brother on the way. It seems that Itachi intends to take Sasuke out for training while he has time and Sasuke does not go to school. Now that you hit it, you can't waste it. Hiko decisively used copy on Sasuke. Copy successfully, get part of the pupil power of Sharingan. Is it fused? Fusion. If it is not stimulated, or if the mood swings are not big, then with the mental power and writing sharing pupil power constantly increasing, can the Sengoku evolve smoothly and become a kaleidoscope? Yan's guess has not been confirmed. After half a year, he absorbed and fused a lot of Shilunyan pupil power and spiritual power. Even Indra and Azura chakra have merged a lot. Perhaps pupil power, mental power, and chakra have not reached a limit point, so the changes brought about are not obvious. The accumulation of a little makes a lot. Yen believes that sooner or later, it will bring about a qualitative change, and even give himself a surprise. Although it was very likely that the trip would be in vain, Fuyu came to the Hokage office building decisively. Whether the problem can be solved is the result of negotiation. But whether to come or not is his problem with Uchiha Fugaku. Once the tribe finds out that he, as the patriarch, promises with his mouth but fails to act, it may bring him a lot of negative impact. In Hokage's office, Fuyu didn't have too many scruples, and mentioned this matter straight to the point. He believed that the third Hokage was ready, and had even figured out how to convince himself. After all, Jishue will report the news as soon as possible. Regarding Uchiha's continuous complaints, after Shisui reported last night, Sandai Hokage thought carefully. Shisui doesn't need to clarify. Sandai Hokage knows that in recent years, the Uchiha clan has a lot of resentment in their hearts. It's just that no one has brought it up before. Well now, someone turned the table and put the matter on the bright side, and Sandai Hokage had to deal with it. It used to be possible to play dumb, but not now. Fuyue, I can see the current situation of Uchiha, but you also know that since that incident, the village has been out of service, and there are too few people available. Regarding the matter of handling complaints, the old man is also powerless. Processing belongs to processing, but how to deal with it is worth talking about. Still the old rules, kick the ball. I agreed to deal with it, but there are not enough people, and there are not many people available, so you Uchiha still feel wronged. It's not that I don't want to be Hokage, there is really no one available. Speaking of the Night of the Nine Tails, Fuyu's face became ugly. This is the worst time Uchiha has been hacked since Konoha established it, but Uchiha has no way to refute. After all, Uchiha's suspicion is too great. The masked man controlled Kyuubi with Sharingan and killed Kushina. It even indirectly killed the fourth Hokage Namikaze Minato. Uchiha didn't recognize this pot, and couldn't shake it off. It was obvious to evade, but Fuyue had nothing to do. Before he came, he expected this would be like this. This is still a relatively good result. If Danzo was here, he would definitely scold Uchiha for not knowing good and bad, and say a bunch of ugly things. Having said that, Fuyu couldn't just give up like this. Chapter 6 Defending the Police Department. being cut by the soft knife of the third generation of Hokage. Master Hokage, although I can understand the difficulties of the village, Uchiha has been constantly improving the requirements of law enforcement, and the number of complaints received has been much less than before, and only a few civilians can handle it. I hope that Hokage-sama can also understand Uchiha's difficulties, and that the village will continue to prosper under the leadership of Hokage-sama. There are more and more areas where Uchiha needs to be responsible for patrolling. The police department has expanded several batches of manpower. There is really no way to deal with these things. Fuyu gave a little praise to the stinky feet of the third Hokage, and then sold another wave of misery. In fact, it's not a bad deal, because Uchiha is indeed facing such a situation. After all, not every Uchiha ninja will join the police department, and many ninjas choose to join some teams to perform tasks. After the family ninjas are dispersed, even if Uchiha is a big clan, there will be a shortage of manpower. Everyone likes to listen to good things, and Sandai Hokage is no exception. Even though he knew that Uchiha Fugaku said that on purpose, he felt a little relieved. Because under his leadership, Konoha has indeed become prosperous. What you said is also reasonable. Uchiha's manpower is indeed somewhat insufficient. What's the meaning? Seeing what Sandai Hokage said, Fuyue's heart skipped a beat, thinking that the other party wanted to persuade him again to expand the police department and include ninjas from other families and civilian ninjas. So he said decisively, Master Hokage, the Uchiha's manpower is somewhat insufficient, but there is still no problem in ensuring the operation of the police department. Please trust us, Lord Hokage. If Yen was here, he would definitely curse, stupid. What good does it do for Uchiha to stick to the police department? Didn't they want to push people in? Promise him, and mention some conditions by the way. In exchange, what if ninjas from other families, or even civilian ninjas, were allowed to join the police department? The police department is Uchiha's territory. As long as the basic backbone remains unchanged, these ninjas who join in can only be reduced to younger brothers at best. Don't you feel bad about leaving the dirty work to them? Unsurprisingly, Fugaku still guarded the police department tightly, refusing to relax at all. Sandai Hokage sighed slightly. In this case, I will select some people to be responsible for the complaint, but you also know that the village finance. The police department will be responsible for the salary expenses of these people. If you don't let the Cypriots, you will bleed. This is for sure. Fuyue quickly agreed. For him, as long as he complained about the problem and didn't throw it on Uchiha's head, everything else was easy to talk about. Uchiha can afford to support a group of employees. As long as these people feel comfortable taking care of the hassle of complaints. In this way, his promise to the tribe can be regarded as fulfilled. This kid is really going to give me trouble. After finishing all kinds of bargaining with the third Hokage, Fugaku walked out of Hokage's office building and let out a heavy breath. Although the process was a bit troublesome, fortunately everything is over. Next, Uchiha only needs to be in charge of the police department. As for complaints, there will be a special department to solve them. A big stone in Fuyue's heart fell. The third Hokage also indirectly relieved a lot of pressure on the village's finances. Although he wanted to cook Uchiha in the same way as boiling frogs in warm water, he didn't want Uchiha to push too hard. Once there is no escape route behind, the rabbit will bite people anxiously, let alone the largest family in the ninja world. At least it is the largest family on the surface. Uchiha Hiko. It seems that monitoring needs to be strengthened. Hiko's behavior of running to the gate of the ninja school at the time has already made the 3 generations of Hokage unhappy, and now it is starting to show up in the family. This is not what the third Hokage wants to see. Even if Yen didn't intend to take refuge in the hardliners. Not now, but in the future. In order to prevent more variables from happening, the third Hokage decided to strengthen the monitoring of Yen by 1 level. Returning to the family, Fuyu immediately recruited people and held a simple family meeting. Not many people attended the meeting, only him as the patriarch, several elders, and the team leader of the police department. After being notified, Yen also put down what he was doing and came to the patriarch's courtyard. The elders were still the latest group of people to come. Everyone's eyes were on Fuyu, and they obviously couldn't wait to know the result of the negotiation between the Patriarch and the Hokage office building. Even Yen is curious whether Sandai Hokage will agree to Uchiha's proposal. Is it a strong rejection, or continue to cut Uchiha's flesh with a soft knife? When all the people arrived, Fuyue didn't make some things to whet everyone's appetite. Everyone, I went to the Hokage office building and proposed to Hokage-sama the wishes of our Uchiha police department. After some discussions and negotiations, the final result is that from now on, complaints about the police department will be it is no longer handled by the police department, but has a special department to manage it. Save Uchiha, start from flipping the table chapter 5. However, the village's finances are tight, and Uchiha needs to pay for the department's expenses from the police department. It is equivalent to Uchiha paying for himself and raising a group of people to handle complaints. This price can be called not small. But is Uchiha short of this money? There must be no shortage. What Uchiha is afraid of is trouble, especially all kinds of annoying complaints. Facing those nonsense people, on the premise that you can't teach others, you can make your head explode. Once it is not handled well, it will face the village's blame or even punishment. Very good. Many small captains and elders all showed pleasant smiles, even the spy Jishue showed a happy smile. This is definitely a good thing for Uchiha. This is definitely a victory for Uchiha. Seeing the excited look of the great elder, Yen secretly rolled his eyes. You said it was a good thing for Uchiha, I admit it. But to say it's a victory, what are you talking about? This is clearly using a soft knife to cut Uchiha's flesh. Looking at the smiling great elder and others, Fuyue knew very well what calculations they had in mind, and he would not give them a chance. Hiko. Fuyue called directly by name and said. The proposal on complaint handling was put forward by you. What else do you think about the family and the police department? All eyes fell on Yen. Uneasy kindness. Knowing that Fuyu deliberately led everything to himself, Yen didn't mean to put it aside, pretending to think for a moment, and replied. I think the missions of the police department should be rectified. Our police department is responsible for the security of the entire Konoha, and will even join important tasks such as arresting prisoners and spies. Those trivial things, such as catching cats and looking for dogs, can be completely rejected, and let the villagers' respective mission departments issue missions, and ask ninjas to find them. You heard that right, it is to catch cats and dogs. Chapter 7 The foundation of Uchiha's foothold should be his own strength. Although the mission department also has many such wonderful missions, but the employer is rich and willing to spend money, even a ninja has to obediently perform the mission. After all, ninjas also have to eat. Those who have money can issue tasks, but what about those who have no money? That's only for the police department. Just like Yen said, you can find the police department for any messy things. If you don't respond, I promise to make a scene for you. This is the status quo of the police department. Dealing with such every day can be a headache. I don't think these villagers should be rejected. This is the best opportunity to improve the relationship between our Uchiha and the villagers. Jishue took the opportunity to put forward his own views, and he disagreed with Yan's proposal. In the eyes of the villagers, Uchiha has a bad impression. Although these things are troublesome, they can bring the relationship between the two parties closer. Jishue believes that it is worthwhile to waste a little manpower and material resources. Jishue is right, I don't think it should be rectified. The sixth elder, who was bullied by Yen last night, also agreed. Snort. With these excuses and reasons again, the great elder looked displeased, but fortunately he didn't explode on the spot, and after angrily snorted, he looked at Yen with interest. He really wanted to know how Yen who jumped out suddenly could persuade the doves. Chi. Harsh laughter sounded. Hiko hugged his stomach and laughed. Jishue frowned slightly, Yan's behavior made him a little unhappy. The sixth elder was even more angry, his fingers trembling slightly, pointing at Yen, said angrily. Uchiha Hiko, what do you mean, are you laughing at the old man? Sorry, I couldn't hold back. Yen rubbed his face, tried hard to stop his smile, and waved his hand to remind the sixth elder. Please elder, remove the two words, I'm just laughing at you. Good guy. It's all for you to laugh at your yin and yang. Even if the sixth elder is upset, he can't do anything to you, but you are better off, just openly slap your face. Not to mention slapping in the face, but throwing the opponent's face on the ground and stepping on it a few times, by the way to you. The blushing face of the sixth elder instantly turned livid. Jishue's mood became worse and worse. Yen, even if you and I have different ideas, you don't have to do this. You can come to me for anything. There is no need to humiliate the elder. You call this an idea? Hiko, who finally stopped laughing, burst out laughing again. Things seemed to be a little out of whack. Fuyue had a headache. He really couldn't figure it out. He used to behave peacefully, except for some people who behaved a little strangely. Why did he suddenly become like this? His words were full of aggression, and anyone who bumped into him would be slapped twice. Even he, the patriarch, couldn't escape. There is no respect, it is simply no respect. The sixth elder spoke incoherently. Yen interrupted him angrily. Come on, I'm not interested in messing with you. As for Jishue, do you think the concept is different? I'm sorry, I don't think this belongs to the idea, but you are stupid and hopelessly stupid. The villagers have a bad impression of Uchiha because of the Night of Kyubi, not from the beginning. Secondly, what is the police department? The public security department is doing things that offend people. Under such circumstances, you still want to use a lot of manpower and material resources of the family and department to deal with some trivial matters to restore Uchiha's bad impression. Isn't this stupid? What is it? There are resources wasted on others, why not use them on your own people, pay more wages, and give more benefits, isn't it good? Or as a member of the Uchiha tribe, you feel that the tribe is not worthy of enjoying the improved benefits and treatment. I don't. Jishue became anxious immediately. His words had risen to the level of welfare benefits for family members. If he dared to admit it, he would definitely be sprayed to death. Now he has been rejected and hated by many clansmen. If he really bears the blame, Uchiha Shisui doesn't need to be a double agent anymore, he can just get out of Uchiha. The old man agrees with Yan's proposal. The great elder clapped his hands and said with relief. I'm very glad that there are still younger generations in the family who can consider the people of the clan. The old man supports you. Instead of wasting resources on being an outsider, it is better to improve the treatment and benefits of the tribe. In short, if the things that make the doves unhappy, the hardliners should raise their hands and feet to agree. Regarding their own treatment and benefits, a group of team leaders chose to remain silent, even those who were closer to the dove faction remained silent. If it involves your own interests, you can let it go later. Still the same sentence, everyone is a person who wants to eat, you can be superior, but please don't pour out the benefits I should get, like splashing water. The most important thing is that splashing water is not necessarily flattering. This is the most disgusting thing. Here comes the trouble again. The hardliners expressed their support, and the captains of the police department didn't mind raising the salary and benefits a little bit. Seeing this posture, Fuyue knew that this matter was going to fall on him again. After all, he is the patriarch, and this is his due responsibility and obligation. If you push everything out, what do you want your clansmen to do? Doves are worse. Fuyue interrupted Yen to prevent Yen from saying some amazing words. After all, the Night of the Nine Tails is a taboo topic in the village, so you can't talk about it casually. Yen, it's not a problem to improve the treatment and welfare of the clansmen, but have you thought about it? In the past, these matters were handed over to the police department. Now that the police department doesn't care about it, what will the villagers think? How you look at it, Uchiha is based on our own strength, not the good impression of the villagers. Yen doesn't care about these at all. Uchiha may be gone in 2 years, and he still cares about the impression of a fart. Choose a few civil servants who will be responsible for explaining and handling. If it's not resolved, just play football. In short, my team will not take care of these things anymore. Whoever cares will take care of it. In addition, Yen aggravated the tone of his speech. On behalf of the clan members who work in the police department, I would like to say that the remuneration and benefits of the police department have not been improved for a long time. Does the patriarch want to see everyone tighten their belts to live? There is also that group of trash who don't care about things when they are uncles. A newcomer's assessment has not been resolved after half a month. What's the use of them? Speaking of this, Yen became angry. The members of the third team he was in were all thorns, and he wasted a lot of effort and brains to get rid of these thorns. The personnel department is doing well. They have chosen a newcomer, but after half a month of selection, they still haven't seen the newcomer. As far as this efficiency is concerned, I just quit my job and go home to raise pigs. Fuyue's already expressionless face turned black a bit, because he was in charge of the civilian staff, and if this happened, it meant that he, the patriarch and minister, had failed in his duty. I will pay attention to it personally and let them correct it. At the end of the meeting, some were happy and some were depressed. The hardliners are very happy, the doves are numb, and even Jishue is dumbfounded. Chapter 8. The announcement was made, and the farmers rioted against the police department. After being bombarded by Yen, he almost became a family sinner. Once news spreads that Uchiha Shisui opposes the improvement of the treatment and benefits of the tribe, it will be difficult for him Uchiha Shisui to continue to mix in the family. This would make him a family enemy. Even members of the Dove faction will be dissatisfied by this. Jishue followed the sixth elder to the home. The sixth elder drank several cups of tea in succession, but was still not feeling well. He threw the teacup on the ground with his hands, smashed it to pieces, and cursed angrily. Uchiha Hiko, this little bastard, has no respect for his elders. He doesn't know how to respect his elders at all. What's the use of saying this? Save Uchiha, start from flipping the table. Chapter 6. The most important thing right now is how to improve the situation of the doves in the family. After Yen made such a fuss, the situation of the doves will only get worse and worse. What Shisui felt helpless was that Yen was not aiming at the doves, but for the sake of the whole family. Even though he was being bullied a lot and his position was getting more and more awkward, Jishue had nothing to say. Jishue, if you don't say that your relationship with Yen is very good, at least you can have a conversation. What exactly does this kid want? It used to be good, but since the last conversation, it has become more and more cold. Jishue sighed inwardly, organized his words, and replied. Elder, Yan's idea is very simple, that is, to make a proposal aimed at the whole family, not at us, we just happened to be on it by chance. At this moment, the sixth elder, who was already a few years old, just wanted to curse, damn. Who did the old man provoke? After this trouble, the arrow is on the string and has to be fired. Fuyue, who has been caught on the grill, can only choose to announce the increase in the benefits and treatment of the staff of the police department. There was a lot of cheers for a while. You must know that the salary of the police department is not high. Working in the police department means that you cannot accept commissions and tasks to make money like other people. Just relying on that little salary, if there is no old background, life will be very difficult. The improvement of welfare and treatment affects the hearts of all Uchiha people. Yan's name naturally entered the eyes of the clansmen. In just one afternoon, many clansmen came to visit him in the office, and some even wanted to be transferred to the third team. It's a pity that the personnel department is too busy. Because they used to work very leisurely, their good days are over. The dark-faced Fuyu swears at these people, and the entire personnel department is in a panic. All of them work with the motivation to work hard, and dare not be lazy or push things around. In general, Yan's family's prestige has improved a lot, and he has gained the favor of many clansmen, and at the same time offended some people. Of course, this was just a small episode, these people did not pose any threat or trouble to Yan, and the other party didn't even dare to have any troubles. The police department no longer takes over trivial matters, which will be pushed to the mission department. After the news was announced, it caused quite a reaction, and the family naturally applauded. In the past, the police department was too busy for these messes. It's all right now, just throw it out, or issue a task, or find a way to deal with it yourself, don't call the police department for help. The police department is a department that maintains Konoha law and order, not a nanny department. People in Uchiha are happy, but some people are not happy. Because they used to be able to ask the police department for help, but now they can't. If the task is released, it will undoubtedly cost a lot of money. Ordinary villagers are fine, but some groups who often ask the police department for free help can't help it. What's so noisy down here? Even sitting in the office can hear noisy voices. One can imagine how lively the lobby on the first floor of the police department must be. Ji Yan, who was lying in the corridor watching the excitement, smiled. Captain, it's from several farmers in the village. They jointly asked Uchiha to remove the announcement and take back the announcement. Who is receiving? Yen walked out curiously. If ordinary villagers only trouble the police department occasionally, then these farmers are old acquaintances of the police department. A group of people who made Uchiha gnash his teeth with hatred, but had nothing to do with each other. Because of breeding, the most effective way to find livestock and livestock lost is to seek help from the police department. Find it with the help of the police department. The announcement of the new regulations of the Ministry of Police is equivalent to making these people have a lot of extra expenses. There is a lot of extra expenses for no reason, and no one is happy to change them. Ever since, the master came to the police department and asked Uchiha to cancel the announcement and restore the original state. Who else? Our hero Jishue. Ji Yan laughed triumphantly. In the past, Jishue was the hero of the village and the family, but now, these titles have become ridicule instead. You Jishue still hold on to something that the whole family agrees with? Yen couldn't help being speechless. It seems that the will of fire is really harmful. Inquiring on the first floor, the person in charge of handling these looks helpless. They have already explained. But the other party is not happy. What made them even more uncomfortable was that, as the team leader, Jishue couldn't help running out to receive the other party, explaining all kinds of thoughtful explanations, but the result was that the other party's arrogance became more and more arrogant. What do you Uchiha mean by that? I lost something, shouldn't I ask you for help to find it? If you don't even do this little favor, what do you need the police department to do? Everyone agrees, right? Facing the arrogant villagers, Jishue was sweating profusely, and raised his hands to comfort him. Everyone, please listen to my explanation. Because the police department is understaffed, many things can no longer be taken care of. We need to maintain the law and order in various places in the village. Nonsense, this is obviously an excuse. You were not like this before. Uchiha really hates it more and more. The agitated people even started to curse, and the angry people in the hall gritted their teeth, but they didn't dare to do anything to each other. In the past, this kind of person would have been thrown into the monitoring room to squat, but since the night of Kyubi, Uchiha's reputation has become worse and worse. Coupled with the noise of the doves, the people in the police department are acting more and more. The more fearful the hands and feet. Kijiro, who was drooling everywhere, was very proud. In the past, who would dare to insult Uchiha like this? It's okay now, because the other party doesn't dare to do anything to you after scolding you. Today he must make Uchiha regret making such an announcement. If something is lost, why go to the mission department to spend money to issue missions and ask ninjas to find them? Do your police department and Uchiha both eat dry food? If you don't look for you, who will you look for? It's your fault if you don't want to help. Chapter 9 Family dignity cannot be trampled on. The more he scolded, the more ugly Kijiro saw that the popularity of the Uchihas was dying, but he didn't dare to do anything to him, and even if some people couldn't help but want to do something, they were dissuaded by sheer sway, so they became more and more arrogant. The contradiction seems to be growing. Yen, who couldn't stand it anymore, led the people down the stairs. Trouble. Seeing Yen coming, Jishue knew that this matter would not end well. Yen is not as good at talking as he is, bump. He was still cursing loudly in the last second, and Mu Erlang, who made all kinds of accusations, flew out directly and hit the wall heavily. The noisy hall of the police department fell silent in an instant. Who gave you the courage to come to the police department to gather crowds to make trouble? Yen said coldly. What are you doing in a daze? Did the police department let you watch the show? Others scolded you for eating dry food. Why don't you grab them and save them for the new year? The people present were very angry, but he did not order them not to dare to act easily. The water stop is caught in the middle and hinders. Following Yan's order, the clansmen who had already been unable to hold back rushed forward in a swarm. Counting one by one, they knocked all the troublemakers to the ground, ignored the wailing and screams of the other party, and dragged them towards the monitoring room. As long as these people go in, there will be something for them to enjoy. Hiko, don't. Yen took the initiative to teach Mu Erlang, who took the lead in making troubles, and the scolding Mu Erlang was fine, and he asked the tribe to arrest the rest. Seeing that the clansmen were attacking one after another, Shishui was in a hurry and wanted to stop it. Shishui, I'm very disappointed in you. A moment later, Yen, who directly blocked Shishui, said disappointedly. I thought you were just kind-hearted. It seems that I was wrong. Your kindness will only be given to other people, not to your own people. I have already said that he is not a good thing. Jian cursed angrily. These people are making trouble. He doesn't arrest them. He even stops the clansmen. Even when the clansmen are scolded and saliva is sprayed on their faces, he remains indifferent and won't let other people do it. The relationship between Jian and Jishui is not good. In the past, everyone would not take it seriously. Even Jishui's behavior is more and more disappointing. But now, Jian's words reached everyone's heart. Which side are you Uchiha Shisui on? We are asked to be gentle and polite in law enforcement, and all kinds of restraints are enough. The patriarch and elders also suggested, and we agreed. But now when others go to the police department to make trouble, you not only don't deal with it, you don't let us do it, you even stop us, causing us to be pointed at the nose and scolded. The saliva is sprayed on the face. Are you Shisui Uchiha still from Uchiha? You can't arrest me, you can't arrest me, I'm going to complain to you. Let me go. Seeing that Uchiha really arrested people, many people panicked. Scared now? Why did you go early? Yen sneered. All of them were arrested and locked up in the monitoring room. These people gathered in the police department to make trouble. Gathering a crowd to make trouble is not a small crime. It's still in the police department, enough for them to stay in prison for a while. Take them all away. With Yan's support, the Uchiha's people stopped panicking, one by one counted, they were all arrested and locked up in the monitoring room. I just didn't want it to be a big deal. Jishui defended himself. Yen shook his head and said disappointedly. These words, you should save them and say them to those clansmen who are scolded and disappointed in their hearts. I will personally report your behavior to the patriarch, and I will also advise the patriarch to cancel your position as the head of the police department. Watching anime in the previous life, Yen still felt that Shishui was a soft-hearted person. Apart from being a bit stupid and brainwashed by the will of fire, he was quite pitiful. Save Uchiha, start from flipping the table chapter 7. Now it seems that poor people must have something to hate. Can anyone tell me what happened? Someone was causing trouble in the police department. When such a big incident happened, the Fuyue people who were resting at home jumped up and rushed to the police department immediately. Here comes the patriarch. The clansmen who were still emotional just now calmed down one after another. In Uchiha, the patriarch of Uchiha Fugaku is quite majestic, at least when he punished the tribe, he did not seldom ruthless. No one spoke, and Jian, who was about to speak, was prompted by Yan's eyes and decisively shut up. Fuyu had no choice but to look at Yan and Shisui who were in the confrontation. Hiko didn't give Shisui a chance to explain, and replied. Because of the announcement of the new regulation, some people were unwilling to accept it. They gathered a crowd to the police department to make trouble, but Jishui was busy explaining and did not deal with it directly. This caused the trouble to get bigger and bigger, and even the clansmen were pointed at their noses and scolded around. Shishui, is this true? Although Fuyue is cowardly in some matters, it is related to Uchiha's dignity and prestige, and he cannot be allowed to take half a step back. Some people gather a crowd to make trouble, and if they don't deal with it directly, why explain? The most important thing is that people in the police department have been abused, which is fine, we are law enforcement officers, what are you Uchiha Shisui doing? Facing the angry eyes of the clansmen, Jishui lowered his head in shame. Yen continued. I personally think that Jishui is not suitable for the position of the police squad leader. I suggest that he be removed from his personal position, and maybe he can be transferred to the complaint handling department. He should be good at doing these things. Since you like being a good person and a peacemaker, well, you can take charge of these troublesome complaints. The position of police squad leader is not for you. Taking a deep look at Jishue, Fuyue said, I will think about it. No matter how much he values Jishue, under the watchful eyes of everyone, or under the premise that everyone has been wronged, Fuyue can only let this matter go. Otherwise, the anger in the hearts of the clansmen would not be appeased. Everyone. Regardless of whether Uchiha Fugaku felt comfortable or not, Yenko raised his hand and turned around, and said loudly. Please remember our identities. In addition to the staff of the police department, we are also members of the Uchiha. We are members of the #1 pupil family in the ninja world. The dignity of the family cannot be trampled on. No matter at any time, the Uchiha will never wag his tail and beg for mercy. Uchiha's pride does not allow us to bow our heads to anyone. If you don't take advantage of this great opportunity to improve your reputation and gain the support and favor of your clansmen, what are you waiting for? Yen made a decisive move. Well said. The captain is mighty. Ji Yen, who was flushed with excitement, clenched his fists and shouted loudly, leading the applause. The applause became louder and louder, and everyone's eyes became eager and excited. They, who had just been wronged, became agitated after being stimulated by Yan's words. Chapter 10 Ignorant fool, who gave you the courage to yell at me? We are members of the #1 pupil family in the ninja world, and we have the pride of belonging to Uchiha. We will never bow to anyone, nor will we beg for mercy. Patriarch, I hope you can hold a family meeting to discuss the issue of family doves. I don't think there is any need for doves anymore, they just make us weak, make us bow our heads, and lose our family dignity and pride. Raising prestige, gathering people's hearts, and dealing with doves and hardliners are the steps Yen took to strengthen Uchiha's unity. The dove faction with the least voice and the fewest personnel has become the target of Yan's first strike. Besides, what the doves have done is really disgusting. If the hardliners want a coup d'état, at least they dare to make a fuss, think about it, and do it. What about the doves? What else can I do besides keep bowing my head and admitting cowardice? Patriarch, we second the proposal. The members of the third team seconded the proposal immediately. With their leadership, more and more clansmen chose to second, and held a family meeting to discuss how to deal with the doves. Looking at the former stabbing team, as Yen became the team leader and was governed submissively, Fuyue felt mixed feelings. In the past, anyone who encountered these people had a headache, and they were all thorns. Well now, after becoming Yan's subordinates, each one is more obedient. Faced with the requests of many clansmen, even if Fuyue was not happy, he could only bite the bullet and nod in agreement, and sent someone to invite several elders to the patriarch's courtyard. Shishue's figure was a little lonely. At this moment, he became a thorn in the eyes and a thorn in the flesh of the clansmen. Even the members of his squad did not dare to get close to his captain, for fear that he would also be despised and targeted by the clansmen. Who would have thought that Jishue solved the problem with good intentions, but he didn't want to end up like this. Did Hiko do something wrong? No, not at all, Yan's success was for the clansmen instead. Comparing him with Jishue, you will find out who is the one who is really good to you. Jishue's mind is full of thoughts on how to resolve the conflict between the family and the village, and how to integrate the family into the village. But I never thought that the problems of Uchiha and the village need to be solved fundamentally, instead of relying on high-level nonsense, let alone the will of the devil's fire. News of the trouble in the police department spread quickly. For a while, there were quite a few people in the family who cursed at Jishue. Everyone thinks that Shisui, as a member of Uchiha, sits crookedly, only thinking about outsiders, and disregarding his own people. On the contrary, no matter how badly Jishue was scolded, Yen could gain a good reputation. There were still those people in the patriarch's courtyard, but the atmosphere was slightly heavy. Because someone is going to use a knife on the family faction. Uchiha Hiko. This name was not unfamiliar to the family elders in the past, but not many people paid attention to it. But with the start of the last clan meeting, it completely entered their hearts. In just a few days, several things that had a great impact on Uchiha were done. Well now, with the police department gathering crowds to make trouble, Yen seized this opportunity and began to attack the pigeons. Facing the requests of many tribesmen, Fuyue, as the patriarch, couldn't refuse. Without even having a chance to talk to Yen in private, he was already riding on the girder, unable to get up or down. I knew this kid was restless. He first questioned us and the patriarch, then asked the patriarch to go to the Hokage office building to discuss the complaint, and soon started doing other things. What exactly is he trying to do? The sixth elder shouted angrily, does he still have elders like us in his eyes? Sixth elder, don't be angry. The great elder chuckled and said. Yen looks pretty good to me, and he suits my taste. Besides, when did he question the patriarch and ignore us? Besides, what he does is good. Don't you want the family to get better and better? I can go to your uncle, these things, do I dare to say no? I'm afraid I want to be scolded to death by the clansmen. The sixth elder's complexion was livid. Others have long been used to their quarrels, and hardliners and doves get together, and there is always a lot of noise. Fortunately, Fu Yu's arrival brought the quarrel to a halt. Hiko also came with Fuyue. This time the family meeting, the small captains of the police department seemed not qualified to participate. At least Fu Yu didn't want them to participate, so he only brought Yen over. The factional quarrel is over, but that doesn't mean the doves will let it go. No, as soon as Yen sat down, the sixth elder started to get mad. Uchiha Hiko, do you still see us elders and seniors? Who gave you the qualification to sit here? Hee hee. The elders of the hardline faction chuckled and didn't intend to help. They really wanted to know how to deal with the attack of the sixth elder. Fu Yu, who was sitting on the main seat, did not say a word. Just sat down and got shot. Yen turned his head to look at the majestic opponent, the corners of his mouth rose slightly, a flash of disdain flashed in his eyes, and Sanguyu's writing-sharing eyes suddenly opened. Forehead. No one expected that Yen would have such a personality, he would do it as soon as he said it, without any ambiguity, he would still do it to the elders of the family. The speed is so fast that others can't react. Before they could react, the sixth elder, who kept clamoring, had already been tricked. The sixth elder who was still looking fierce at the last moment, who was roaring loudly, seemed to have been pressed the pause button, and he froze in place. Then he jumped up with his head in his arms, as if he had encountered something terrible, yelled loudly, and kept grabbing the clothes on his body, as if something terrible was sticking to him. Ignorant fool, who gave you the courage to yell at me? Yen said coldly. If the person sitting in front of him is Uchiha Shursui, Yen still needs to be on guard. He is old and frail, and his strength is not as good as the former sixth elder. Apart from this level of elder status, he is just a scumbag. As long as Yen wanted to, he could be killed at any time. In the past 6 months, through a lot of spiritual power, Sharingan pupil power, and the fusion of the Indra brothers' chakra, Yen's strength has already reached a terrifying level. It just never showed up. To deal with an old and frail man, his strength is not as good as that of the former sixth elder, and it is no different from killing a chicken. As long as Yen thinks about it, he can be killed suddenly in minutes. A problem that can be solved with an illusion. Speaking of which, he copied a lot of experience in the use of illusion from Jishui, and now it happened to be used on the sixth elder. Chapter 11 Uchiha is originally a part of Konoha, where else does he need to integrate into? Yen's move shocked everyone. The few elders who were still cheerful just now couldn't laugh anymore. Only then did they realize that Yen was not an obedient little sheep. It's a hedgehog with spikes. If you underestimate him and dare to attack him, you must be prepared to be stabbed. Yen. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to challenge my authority? Uchiha Fugaku left his seat and appeared next to the sixth elder, helping him release the illusion. Similarly, he opened the Senguyu Sharingan, and confronted Yen. Judging by the ups and downs of his chest, he was really off. Save Uchiha, start from flipping the table chapter 8. The illusion was lifted, and the sweaty sixth elder looked at Yen with a bit of fear in his eyes. God knows what he just went through. Facing Fuyue's question, Yen calmly spread his hands. As for whether there is a challenge to the patriarch's authority, it needs to be judged by the patriarch himself, and I have done nothing wrong. The support of the family and the support of the tribe gave him the status of an elder, but this does not mean that he can yell at me. If you really make a great contribution to the family, I will respect you as a senior, respect you as an elder, and respect you as the elder of the family. Unfortunately, you didn't. As he said that, Yen showed a sarcasm smile, looked up and down the sixth elder who hadn't calmed down, and said with disdain. What you bring to the family will always be compromises, only concessions, and you will always let the clansmen behave with their tails between their legs. Such an old dog doesn't get my respect. Now that you've torn your face, what's the point of being polite? Calling you an old dog is considered polite to you. At least I didn't scold you too badly. Ignoring Fu Yu's increasingly ugly face, Yen said loudly to the other elders. Everyone, don't you feel uncomfortable when such a person becomes the elder of the family and sits on an equal footing with you? To be honest, I feel quite ashamed. A group of elders were still in shock because Yan's subordinates committed the crime, but after hearing this, they looked at the sixth elder who was still in fear, feeling a little uncomfortable. At least feel that the other party is ashamed. Even a junior can't stand still, don't be an elder, you will save yourself embarrassment. It was actually controlled by a junior with illusion, and he didn't even have the ability to resist. I am ashamed to be with you. Uchiha Hiko, do you want to bring your family to accompany you to perish? After a while, the sixth elder finally calmed down. At this moment, he wished he could dig a hole in the ground and hide in it. If we continue to toss, Uchiha will either become stronger, or gradually lose control. He couldn't help being in a hurry. In order to make Uchiha strong again, instead of bowing his knees and being a man with his tail between his legs. Hardening Fugaku's indifferent and majestic gaze, Hiko replied calmly. I want to say, for the sake of my life, I'm afraid you won't believe me. It's a pity that you are a cowardly patriarch, and I am also very desperate, so I can only do it myself. Yen made the slogan for Uchiha. Fugaku really couldn't accuse him of anything. After all, although Yen was a little impulsive, what he did not harm Uchiha's interests. Fu Yu, who fell into silence, didn't speak for a while. Yen also sat quietly, without any discomfort. Very good. At this time, happy laughter came in, and Yen was very familiar with the voice. It was the #1 copy of his queen, Sasuke Uchiha, the second pillar. With a happy smile, Sasuke hopped into the living room. When he saw the two people sitting in the living room, he was taken aback immediately, and noticed that his father's face was not very good looking. Sasuke stood up quickly, bowed and said. I'm back, my lord father, I've seen my predecessors. Well, Fuyu still had a straight face, folded his hands, and his attitude was very cold. Sasuke, who was only 5 years old, couldn't hide the disappointment on his face. Father, senior. Itachi, who came one step later, said hello sternly, and then took the initiative to pull Sasuke upstairs. Interrupted by Sasuke and Itachi, the tense atmosphere eased a bit. Fu Yu's tense face also relaxed a lot. What do you think of the hardliners? Speak your true thoughts. To be honest, you are a bit harsh on Jishue. He did this for the good of the family. For the good of the family, we shouldn't let the clansmen behave with their tails between their legs. Curling his lips, Yen did not agree with Fu Yu's words. He knew that Shishue became a double agent with Fu Yu's support and inspiration. The same is true for the future Itachi, but unfortunately, Fu Yu overestimated Shishue and Itachi's feelings for Uchiha. 2 spies were sent there, but both spies completely fell to the village senior management. If he really wants to think about the family, then he should give up those unrealistic ideas. As for the hardliners, I think you, as the patriarch, already have an idea in your mind. I don't have the idea of joining the hardliners, not at all, and I don't agree with someone in the family who wants to stage a coup. I said, even if a member of Konoha makes a fuss over something, it won't reach the serious level of a coup d'état. Believe it or not, this is from my heart, and I will work hard for my goals. This is Yan's statement. Chapter 13 Danzo. Look, I said earlier that Uchiha should be wiped out, especially Uchiha Hiko. Fu Yu raised his eyebrows slightly, and his heart that had been hanging down also fell. Yen did these actions for the good of the family, and he could accept them. In other words, as long as Yen doesn't join the hardliners, he can dig Uchiha's roots. Uchiha Fugaku is a little bit cowardly, at least he still has a view of the overall situation. The conflict between the family and the village is difficult to resolve, and the suspicion in the middle is very deep. Yen smiled, smiling confidently. I know, but I don't think this is a bad thing, at least it can unite us. In the past, the family was only scattered because of factions and fighting with each other. But I always believe that as long as we are united, as long as we don't do things that the village cannot accept, no one can touch us. At most play some tricks. On the contrary, only we who are strong and united can speak in the village, because the reputation of the Uchiha #1 pupil family is not for nothing, we have such strength. Everything is as simple as you said. Fuyue sighed slightly. Since he became the patriarch, he has tried every means to work hard, but the final result is very touching. Uchiha has almost nothing to say, and even the phenomenon of crowding out is getting more and more serious. This phenomenon even reached its peak after the Night of Nine Tails. Fuyue didn't say what was in his heart, but Yen could guess what he was thinking. As long as you don't join the hardliners, lead the tribe to launch a coup, and do things that harm the interests of Uchiha and the village, I will not deliberately obstruct you. It is enough to have the patriarch's words. I will definitely not do things that harm the interests of the family, but things that harm the interests of the village depend on the situation. As long as Sandai Hokage and Danzo start to do things, Hiko doesn't mind causing them some trouble and letting them have a headache. Blindly passive will not make Uchiha stand up, but will make those who bully you keep advancing. Even if you retreat 1 foot, others can advance 1 foot. The occurrence of the big event of Lien Fan dazzled the people of Uchiha. When they learned that the 6th elder was so angry that he fainted in the past, it was even more interesting to talk about. It's a pity that everyone soon lost their minds about watching the show. Because the hardliners deliberately leaked what Yen said and An's charges. Now, the Uchiha fried the pan. One by one, they began to scold the doves, denouncing their betrayal, and even impulsive people went directly to the doves for trouble. The 6th elder was being treated in the hospital, and Jishue, who was going to be transferred tomorrow, was killed. Even Jishue was dumbfounded when he heard the news. He never dreamed that the direction that Dove faction has been working hard for would be charged with such a terrible crime. Shisui was dumbfounded, and the 3rd Hokage who heard the news was not much better. What are you doing? Just now, the old man felt that Uchiha Hiko was not simple, and that monitoring had to be strengthened. As a result, so many things were turned around, and the pigeons inside Uchiha were directly disposed of. Who can tell the old man how he did it? Also, isn't this charge a bit exaggerated? Although it makes sense, the Dove faction wouldn't dig the roots so hard. How would Jishue face his own people in the future? After such a coquettish operation, even if Jishue and the other members of the Dove faction will not become street rats that everyone shouts and beats, life in the family will not be easy in the future. It may be difficult for them to get the forgiveness of the clansmen. The doves have lost the right to speak, so what is the use of Jishue, a spy who has been cultivated with great difficulty? Without the right to speak, you can't participate in various important family gatherings and clan meetings. If you can't participate, how can you collect information? Things seem to be getting a little troublesome. That's all. Yan also advocated that Jishue be transferred from the police department, thinking that he should not stay in the police department and should deal with those annoying complaints. The 3 generations of Hokage are speechless. This is still a contradiction within Uchiha. This kind of matter, even as Hokage, he can't end up interfering, at most it is a side knock. The problem is, tapping doesn't do much. He could only watch helplessly as Jishue was excluded from the outside. The unique sound of knocking on the floor came from far away. The 3rd Hokage who was in deep thought retracted his thoughts and rubbed the space between his brows. He knew that his old friend had come. The footsteps stopped at the door of Hokage's office, and the office door was pushed open roughly. Danzo, whose forehead, right eye, right shoulder, and right hand were all wrapped in bandages, walked in step by step with a wooden stick. There are only 2 people in Konoha who come to Hokage's office and don't even knock on the door, or ignore basic politeness. Danzo is one of them, followed by the 3rd Hokage's disciple, the future 5th Hokage Tsunade Haim. Putting down his hands, Sandai Hokage looked up. Danzo, it's so late, is there anything you can do to find me? Sarutobi, don't pretend you don't know anything, Uchiha's side is already going crazy. Walking step by step to the desk of Sandai Hokage, Danzo's one-eyed eyes showed a sinister light. I said a long time ago that you can't treat the Uchiha group of evil people too gently, you should take them all down, especially Uchiha Hiko, the evil brat. Seeing Danzo talking too much, Sandai Hokage couldn't help interrupting him. Danzo, I said that Uchiha is also the Uchiha of the village, and things have not reached the point you said. Several things initiated by Uchiha Yen are all changing Uchiha. This is Uchiha's internal affairs, isn't it? You and I should have intervened. Did Uchiha really deserve to die? I'm afraid it's not necessarily true. Danzo is holding on to Uchiha. Apart from wanting to win enough Sharingan, he just wants to grab this tail and use Uchiha's threat theory to strengthen himself, thereby achieving one's own purpose. The third Hokage didn't have the idea of knocking down Uchiha with one shot, except that there was no need for accidents, but they didn't dare. The overall strength of the number one pupil family in the ninja world lies here. Once the urgency is urgent and Uchiha unites, even if Uchiha can be wiped out, the village will have to pay a very heavy price. Don't take Uchiha's dozens of jonin and hundreds of ninjas as Chinese cabbage. How much chunin does Konoha have? Uchiha occupies more than 1/10. This is also the source of Yen's confidence. As long as Uchiha is united and does not cause trouble, Danzo and Sandai Hokage dare to try. If you are not afraid of causing a backlash and launching a civil war, then you can come and destroy Uchiha. At that time, Konoha's vitality will be seriously injured, and villages such as Yenran Village and Yunran Village, which have strong military strength and like to wage wars, will not be indifferent. The Land of Fire is a big piece of fat, and when they get the chance, they will pounce on it and take a bite. Chapter 14 Yen, is Danzang invited? Grab them all. Snort. Danzo snorted coldly, and didn't continue to hold on to this point. Then tell me, Uchiha's situation has changed, Shisui was almost kicked out of the family circle, how should the village collect Uchiha's information next? If no one collects information, I'm afraid Uchiha is planning to rebel, and we don't even know about it. In any case, exaggerate as much as possible, and the more demonized Uchiha is, the better. In this way, Sandai Hokage and other high-level officials felt more and more uneasy, and had to rely on Shimura Danzo all the time. I'll take care of that. After pondering for a moment, Sandai Hokage spoke slowly. Save Uchiha, start from flipping the table chapter 10. Being so stimulated by Danzo, his face was a bit ugly, after all, Uchiha's threat was too great. Thinking of the Night of the Nine Tails a few years ago, the heart of Sandai Hokage is aching. Regardless of whether he is suspected of overhead Minato, the death of Minato and the destruction of Kyubi caused heavy losses to Konoha, which undoubtedly made things worse for Konoha after the war. Not to mention, that night, his wife, Sarutobi Lake Biwa, also died. The three Hokages gave in. Danzo raised his eyebrows slightly, this was what he wanted, and it went smoother than he imagined. The old man will monitor Uchiha Hiko, this evil kid. If there is a chance, he will be arrested first. This kind of restless and evil guy cannot be left alone. If it is moved, there will be a lot of trouble. The third Hokage wanted to stop Danzo, but the words stopped suddenly. Because Uchiha's changes in the past few days were all caused by Yen. Yen is like a catfish that got into a pool, stirring up the entire pool, causing the fish and shrimp in the pool to become active. As a result, Sandai Hokage gave up persuasion. There is another thought in his mind, that is, if he controls Yen, it may save a lot of trouble. Not to mention the conspiracy theory of Hokage's office building. The Uchiha clan is destined to be unable to be peaceful. After a busy day at work, Yen was going home to rest. Unexpectedly, I ran into two uninvited guests on the way. Just do what you say, this is Danzo's character, he is a man of action. Just after negotiating with the third Hokage, he ordered people to come to see Yen. Unfortunately, because of the changes in the family and the police department, there are many things. As the team leader, Yen also works overtime until very late before returning home from work. If it was normal, Yen would have left long ago, but Fuyue, the patriarch, personally took charge of the police department, basically extinguishing Yan's idea of skipping work. Anbi, or Root. It is nothing new for Umbu to be watching him, but he has never been so close, let alone waiting halfway. Suspicious in my heart. Yen didn't seem to see the other party, and walked straight over. Whether it's Umbu or Jen, it doesn't make any difference to him, as long as the opponent doesn't dare to fight here. Don't forget, this place is not far from the police department. Once you do it, let alone whether you can take Yen, just say that Yen delays for a little time, and people from the police department can rush over. Once the police force arrives, the fun begins. Attacking Uchiha's people around the police department will arouse Uchiha's anger. Hiko came, Gen's ninja thought that the other party would speak first, so he held his hand firmly. As the dogs of Danzo, they need to show an oppressive aura to intimidate Yen from the beginning, and then take the frightened Yen away. This is a well-used method. Over the years, there has been no less bluffing. Unfortunately, they miscalculated. Because Yen didn't have any intention of talking to them at all. Walked straight over. Why did you just leave like this? Can't see us two adults waiting here. Looking back at Yan's back, Jen was a little confused. Since when did Uchiha people dare to ignore their existence? Uchiha Hiko. If you don't speak again, the other party will go far away, and the root person hastily shouted. Master Danzo, please. Please come with us. Hiko, who stopped in his tracks, turned his head to look at the other party. He asked curiously, is this an invitation? Or arrest? What's the meaning? Root Ninja asked with a frown. When they arrested people, when did they control whether they were invited or arrested? Basically, it is to find an excuse, or directly move out the daimyo of Danzo, take the other party to a place where there are few people and many people, and then do it, and take it down in one fell swoop. Sure enough, it's Danzo, can't help it already. Yen slightly shook his head, this old dog is still so impatient. If it is an arrest, please take out the arrest warrant issued by the Hokage office. If it's an invitation, then I refuse, I'm not interested in meeting Danzo-sama. Arrest someone for a disagreement. Umbu has such rights, but Jen does not in theory, but judging from the penetration of Umbu, there is no difference between Umbu and general of course, arresting people also counts for the kind of person they are arresting. Ordinary people naturally catch it. But some people can't play like that. Not going. Jen's ninja couldn't hold it any longer, stopped Yen from left and right, put his hands on the katana, and said in a deep voice. Master Danzo, please come with us. Are you sure you want to do it? Yen, who was surrounded, didn't panic, but looked at the other party with great interest, but the banter in his eyes was not concealed at all, as if he was looking at two clowns. Arresting people on the territory of the police department? It's a bit too courageous. No, what the root ninja didn't notice at all was that many Uchiha ninjas had already surrounded them. Uchiha Hiko, I advise you. Take it away and lock it up for assaulting the captain of the police force. Yen was too lazy to talk nonsense with them, and waved to the people who had already surrounded him. I was attacked by an unknown person. The other party wanted to attack and kill me. You can do it now. What? As soon as these words came out, Gen Ninja was stunned. They came to arrest people, but now they are going to be arrested instead. Not good. People kept appearing around, Gen's ninja's heart skipped a beat, Hiko didn't seem to be joking, but really planned to arrest them. By the way, there is another charge, assaulting the police chief. What the am I? The ninjas who didn't wait for their roots showed their identities, and under the leadership of Uchiha Oriyen, a group of people shot in an instant. Bold, how dare you, ah! With a scream, the two people who were beaten by the group fell directly to the ground without moving. Ji Yen held one in each hand and grinned, Captain, what should we do with these two people? Just lock it up, and send it directly to the prison tomorrow morning. Didn't I already say the charges? Unknown persons, attacking the police chief. Yen waved his hand, turned and left, he needed to go home and rest. As for the next mess, don't worry about him. And Danzo who is waiting for his subordinates to return. Who cares about you? Danzo, please. I'll go to your uncle. Don't say that Danzo has an invitation. Even if the people from Umbu say that Hokage has an invitation, Hiko will not respond. Besides, even if you want to go, you have to take Fuyue, the patriarch, with you. Chapter 15 Unexpected Surprise. The eyes are about to evolve. In short, it is impossible to meet Danzo and Sandai Hokage alone. It's useless to treat him like Jishuei, a fool. Take away. Since the captain asked to lock it up and send it to prison tomorrow morning, then lock it up, and Jien led the people away. After the crowd dispersed, Fuyu came out. Hiko stopped again and asked with a smile. Why did the patriarch come? Is it because I did something wrong? Feel your conscience and say, what you did was right. Fuyu took a deep breath and said, they are from Danzo. So what? Yanhaha laughed, raised his right index finger and pointed to the ground. This is the territory of our Uchiha police department. If an unknown person attacks me, he should be arrested. I don't know who Danzo is, but they must be spies. Because they wear Umbu's equipment, but they don't have Umbu's identity mark. Why did Yen dare to arrest people? Because they can't see the light at all. So what if they are wearing Umbu's equipment? What about the identity mark? As for the fact that Jen's people moved out of Danzo to show their identity, Nyan could say no, or he didn't hear it. It's not unreasonable for this matter to go to the Hokage office building. Anyway, I've charged you guys with crimes. The Heavenly King Laozi is here, and they are also unknown people. Master Patriarch, although I am not a hardliner, I have always believed that blindly giving in is not a good thing. Some people, if you make a step, they will advance a foot, or even a foot. Looking directly into Fuyue's eyes, Hiko gritted his teeth and said. We have no room for further concessions. You want to lead the family to fight against the village? Fuyue opened Sharingan, and the Sanguyu Sharingan was particularly conspicuous in the dark night. Spreading his hands innocently, Hiko replied. Arresting unknown criminals, how can you call confrontation with the village? Fuyu didn't answer. Yen also fell silent, and the two stood on the street looking at each other. I don't know how long it has passed. Fuyu closed Sharingan, turned and left. Before leaving, he said without looking back. I hope you know what you know. Uchiha can't stand on the opposite side of the village, and I can't allow anyone to lead Uchiha into the abyss.